10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Agnaye Swaha, Agnaye Idam Mama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Mama.
Second. All right, so welcome to this Boxing Day meditation, and I'm calling this a good news gathering. I think you'll find some of the stuff interesting. Everybody's had a good Christmas, by the way. Yeah. Spare a thought for those who don't get together with others for Christmas. But anyway, the Agnihotra will start in about 20 minutes with Kathy, and she'll explain a little bit more about it. And the question I've got is, what prompted this Earth Healing Group meditation? Well, last Friday when I walked out of the house and there was clear air out the back door, and I looked up at the trees and there was smoke everywhere, and I actually thought next door was on fire. But we know that it was from interstate or from East Gippsland. And you know, we've already had a couple of catastrophes in New South Wales and South Australia, and we could have a potential catastrophe in Victoria as well. And so what I'm suggesting is, how about we do some metaphysics, right? Now, it's not very well accepted in society at the moment, but I'll just share some information on that. From one of the books that we've used and studied in groups, Conversation with God, Book 4, I'll read the quote. An awakened species harnesses the power of metaphysics. Humans in an unawakened state do not. Right, so we're talking about more evolved species. They always use metaphysics, and we can as well. We're at that time where we can start doing this on a mass scale, and it will have an effect. I've mentioned with the fires that are occurring, they are a cleansing element. I've even mentioned that the problems with 5G, maybe you're not aware, but 5G is potentially damaging to life, as well as 4G and 3G, right? All that wireless radiation is, it appears to be. And but with 5G, there's a lot of people opposing it, right? So I'm saying bring it on, right? Because at least now it's waking people up. So people are saying, no, I don't want this. And actually 5G is not necessary. We paid for high-speed internet into our homes 20 plus years ago. That's illustrated in this particular book, actually, a book of broken promises. We were supposed to have fibre into our homes and businesses being installed more than 20 years ago. We ended up getting what they call DSL, and it's very, very slow. Right? You might think 12 megabits per second is fast, but it's extremely slow compared to what fibre optics can do. Yeah, we need to wake up, really need to wake up and grow up as a species, and that's what that book's about, awaken the species. the proposal I'm suggesting is that we underestimate the power of collective thought. And a quote is from another book: "Thought is the parent that gives birth to all things." So that's a very powerful statement. The tools of creation are thought, word and deed. You have to implement all three to create anything. But thought is actually the prime mover. You've got to start with thought. And if your vision is not correct, then everything below it is going to be distorted as well. Right? So that's where we've got to start. And by implementing that, it avoids a scenario which I announced at a talk, one of the 5G talks that we gave in Ferntree Gully. And what that is if we do not awaken now, during this early stage of our cosmic development, we could wind up living in this lifeline essentially as many older species in the physical realm do, becoming more and more violent, even as we become more and more advanced. And the answer to that statement from the author was, those last 13 words are a description of how things are going on your planet now. In other words, we're going to end up being controlled by artificial intelligence if we're not careful, by a machine intelligence which has no humanity.
We can already sense that now.
That's already here.
It's happening,
Spend too much
and that's
time
what
on
the
the
statement
computer
was. It's already happening. Right? We need to be aware of this. Another statement which came out of again, book 4, which was published in 2017, was, I've got it here somewhere. An awakened species always has a balance between cosmology and technology. Right? And we're seeing technology increase at an incredible rate, and our spirituality is staying somewhere down here, and that's really dangerous for our species. You know, we're just a baby race, and we need to acknowledge that. You know, we think we're so smart with our devices, and I come from that world. I'm actually an electronics engineer before I became a yoga teacher, and that was a massive career change. Right? And so now it's coming back to haunt me. So there you go. Highlighting the power of group meditation. We've run earth healing meditations here on an annual basis, right? In the last one we had about 500 groups worldwide, organised through this lady in Gippsland, and she comes here and does the meditation, or does it with me as well. That's what we need to do as a collective, right? Well, that's what I'm suggesting anyway. There's actual, you can research this online. There's scientific evidence, you could call it scientific. Some of the titles are Proof that Group Meditation Can Change the World. You can look that up online. Another one is Scientific Evidence on the Power of Group Meditation, Prayer and Intention. Another one is The Power of Group Meditation, an Ancient Practice with Enormous Impact. And there's a final one which I put up, and that's What was the Harmonic Convergence?
That's what I was want to know.
Okay, well, who knows about the harmonic convergence?
I've heard of it so often, but I don't know what it means.
Well, not many people have. I remember it.
Quite a while back, wasn't it?
Sorry?
89 or something.
Yeah. It was...
The harmonic convergence was in 1987. Right? I remember it. I wasn't part of it, but I was doing similar practices, right? I was guided to information, which got me meditating every day on healing the earth, right? And probably millions of people were drawn into that, right? Healing the earth. And the harmonic convergence was a group meditation organised back then with I don't know how many thousands around the world. You can look it up online. It's a very famous event. And the information that I've come across, and there's a number of different markers which confirm that this is true. It raised the consciousness of humanity just enough and we made a collective decision not to annihilate ourselves, right? So, you know, that's why I call this a good news gathering. Yeah. The catastrophes were meant to happen in 1992, right? And I've got lots of information converging on that date, right? And one of the most, and I didn't even know about Cryon back then, but one of the most powerful indicators comes out of these Cryon books. It describes the Cryon energy appeared in 1989, very soon after the harmonic convergence, and it appeared because we made that collective choice, right? But it wasn't just Cryon. The conversation with God material appeared very soon after as well, and also the ringing cedars material. They all appeared about the same time. Right? It's because we made this collective decision not to annihilate ourselves. Telos is another one. Very powerful information about fifth dimensional beings which live within the earth. Right? They're not on the surface, but it's too dangerous for them to be on the surface. Anyway, that's another story. And what I would highly recommend is you go online and you watch this video, Cryon 2020. It's the very latest, it's only a few days old, and this is really mind-blowing stuff. Right? It's showing that we are on the path. It's going to be a very turbulent time, right, in 2020. Cryon predicted in early 2019 that we were going to have a massive exposure of darkness in 2019, and that's happened, right? 2020 is also going to be turbulent, but we're on the verge of eliminating oil, shutting down the grid, right? No electricity grid. We don't need it anymore. Once these technologies come into operation, we won't need the electricity grid anymore because magnetic power generation is just around the corner.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
George, if there's time, maybe we can play it because it only goes for 30 minutes.
Well, we'll do all the other things.
Yeah, and then if there's
we
time,
want to, we can come back to it. But Will's going to be playing some music straight after the main meditation.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's interesting because apparently Nikola Tesla's technology was supposed to be able to mean that we could access free energy.
Yeah, well, this is magnetic technology, and one of the guys that used to come here, he was an abductee, alien technology abductee. He showed us the plans, and he actually wanted me to work on it, of a magnetic motor, right, which flies their spaceships.
Well,
Now, I don't know if it's true, but he presented very compelling information. I've got it all on video.
I've read and heard that the formula of Tesla had been changed.
Well, who knows? But I'll finish what I'm saying, and then we can chat later. Yeah. Okay. So the conclusion that I'm making from a lot of this stuff is that collective thought determines the weather. I mean, we're getting catastrophic weather, but it's actually a product of collective thought. From a book called Mind Over Matter, it tells us that, where are we? People as a mass do create weather patterns as they require them. These are based on trends assumed by the race as a whole and are played out as pre-directed series of events. You can personally direct your own involvement in these events, but remember, there will always be weather. Right? But the collective actually affects the weather. And it's not just the weather. The collective unconscious, if you want to call it that, also affects if we have disasters, natural disasters. It's not a coincidence, right? Major natural disasters are often written off as fate, and yet even fate can be an acronym from all thoughts everywhere. In other words, the consciousness of the planet.
Have they got
like, you know, when they talk, oh, sorry.
Sorry?
You know, when I looked at some of your meditation links and it was saying how they could prove that crime went down and that sort of thing as a result of doing meditation. But so, is there any evidence to prove that thinking affects weather? Just out of interest, like they,
well,
you know.
There's some videos.
It'd be very hard to pin it down, right?
Yeah,
But
you know,
the spiritual
good to
information, not just from one source, multiple sources, says that we affect the weather, right? But I'll go into a little bit more detail about how collective thought works as well.
There is evidence.
It's
just
natural
briefly,
law.
there
Yeah,
is
let me
evidence.
finish what I'm doing.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so, yeah.
and then we need to get outside pretty soon. Now, just consider that Earth is a sentient being. Right? Many indigenous cultures will tell you that. And what's happening is it's developing a temperature, just like our bodies do. Right? When we get sick, we develop a temperature in order to fight off the disease. It's no different with the Earth. Right?
no.
And in this case, on the Earth, we're getting assaulted by, or life is getting assaulted by greed and corruption in general. Are the fires a warning of a cleansing by fire? With Australia, a test case for the world? Well, check out this. This is a very interesting video to watch. It's only a few days old from the BBC and showing the extent of fires around Australia. I don't even know if that map is accurate. But on another shot he shows that Australia was the hottest place on Earth, and one particular day the average temperature was over 41 degrees Australia-wide. And it's almost like it's a test case for the world. Right? It's showing us, well, Australia could probably show the rest of the world that we're going down this very dangerous track, and we don't have to continue going that way. Yeah, another case of cleansing is the floods coming from the ancient times. That was reported worldwide. It's not just in the Bible or one particular source. Many different sources. I won't go too much into that. Another reason for more violent weather and greater extremes comes from a special book called The Disappearance of the Universe. It's derived from the Course in Miracles, and it talks about you're getting global warming because of all the pollution you put into the atmosphere, and that's true, but you'll also get colder extremes as well. It's not, the Earth is not just heating up, it's also going cold in other places, right? And what happens, I'll show you a diagram. Oh, here it is. This is big business. Weather modification is a huge industry. And this is just one example, Australian rain technologies. And what they do is they make it rain in one spot. But when they make it rain in one spot, they have to pinch the rain from elsewhere. Right? And so that's why you get the extremes, right? Not just rain,
It's using
temperature extremes.
HARP
as
technology, is it?
Well, it could be HARP technology as well, yeah. And another item of collective thought is governments. Now, there's a quote from this particular book, the Telos book, and it talks about governments. Governments, corrupt to the core, always reflect the consciousness of the people. Collective, higher integrity no longer attracts corruption. And so what we're implying there, we like to blame the governments, but it's actually the collective which is attracting that government.
Yes.
In other words, we need to take personal responsibility for it. Right?
And the word responsibility had almost been erased from our language.
Yeah, another quote from another one of the Conversations books is, the world, the earth and our life is in the shape it is in because of us, the choices we make or fail to make. Right? Nothing is a coincidence. Right? It's the natural law playing out. All right, well, how many of us in the room meditate? There's a few, right? When I had the big law group here, and there was about 50 people. Half the people put their hand up when I asked that question, which was a big surprise, you know. And that's encouraging, right? And then the collective meditation is that much more powerful. A call to action for 2020 is, I don't have the, well, this is it. I've got it on the pamphlet. I want to restart some of the study groups, and the last book we studied was here somewhere. Book 4 of that, Conversation with God, book 4. That was the last book we studied, and you would be amazed by the material in that book. There are races which are much more evolved than we are, which are actually helping us, right? But we will not get that help unless we elevate our consciousness and ask for that help. Anyway, I'll leave it at that because we've got the next stage. We're doing the Agnihotra ceremony outside, and then we'll come back and do the main meditation.
You want Kath to come in and she'll explain about the Agnihotra?
Or does you want to do it outdoors?
Yeah, the basic science of Agnihotra. I'll get Kath.
Okay, let's do it. Agni means fire.
He said he's going to bring
She's
her
going to bring her in.